I just wanted to do a video for you all about charging your AC system. This is a 91 GMC. It's a 350. This is a remanufactured compressor. The system was originally R12. I replaced the compressor. I also replaced the condenser, blew out all the hoses, and changed all the O-rings. I wanted to show you guys this video. I want to go through the system real quick, explain some things that I've seen in the past. I've done HVAC industrial commercial for 20 some years, but I have done a lot of automotive air conditioning. I wanted to run you guys through some things. Hopefully there'll be a section in this video you guys can use and it will be informative to you. I apologize for the length of the video. I know there's a way to speed these things up on YouTube to where you can see them a lot quicker and you don't have to listen to me jabber a lot, but hopefully I'll say something that will help you guys, whatever problem you're having, and it'll help you diagnose it and get it fixed. Anyway, without further ado, let's run through the system. The compressor, whenever I changed it out, there's 3 screws in here, or 3 bolts that run through it. One here, one on the bottom, and one over here on this side. Mine, I'm assuming they're like that from the factory, but on my bolts, one edge of that bolt is flattened out. When you get that bolt loose and go to pull it out, it won't clear here. You have to turn it to where that flat edge is against this pulley, and then it'll clear. You may have to jostle that compressor around a little bit to get it, but it will come out of there. This shroud, do yourself a favor and take it off. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 7 bolts in there, and this will come completely out. It will save you a lot of headache. While I'm in that area, let me tell you guys about something. Be sure and watch your fan when you're at idle. If you're running high head pressure, after you get this thing charged with the factory amount, or your clutch is just starting to stay in all the time on your compressor, you've got it charged, but you're running high head pressure, watch that fan at idle. I had a customer one time, he came in and his head pressure was high and I could not figure it out. Me and him both looked at it, and he ended up driving off. He ended up blowing a discharge line on his compressor. The problem was that clutch on that fan. When his truck was at idle, he said he went into a store, left his AC running. When he came out, the high side hose had blown out. When the truck is at idle, you should not be able to count blades on that fan. It should be turning at a pretty good speed. Definitely watch for that. Just FYI, so you know that. Let's go over here. Also on the compressor, if you guys get a compressor from a salvage yard, you're not sure if it's good, just be sure and turn the crank, not just the pulley, but turn the crank by turning the clutch. Put your fingers over both holes in the back. One should be blowing and one should be sucking. If it's not, it's a bad compressor. That's a pretty good indicator. You could have a bad coil and your valves could still be weak, but that's the best thing you've got at a salvage yard. And if you've got an ohm meter, of course you can put your ohm meter on each one of these leads and you should get some form of resistance there. You should not be open, and neither one of those you shouldn't have continuity to ground on either one of those. So that's one thing to check if you get one at a compressor or at a salvage yard. Okay, when you come off the compressor, this is your discharge line. You know it's your discharge line because it's a smaller line. A compressor, whatever gas goes in has to come out. So if you've got the same amount of gas going in as you do coming out, your smaller line is going to have a higher pressure. This is your discharge. Your discharge comes out. Of course, this one's been retrofitted. There's been a fitting put on here to accept the 134A service valves. This comes out and goes to your condenser. Your condenser sits in front of your radiator. That bottom line right down here, that's where your metering device is at. It is not back there. Or your orifice tube. In these, they have an orifice tube that goes in there. To get that out, the easiest way, if you're doing that, once you've got both lines disconnected, let me zoom in there. Once you've got both of those lines there disconnected, on this line right here, take an air chuck like this, an air fitting, push this right over the end of that, hold it on there real tight, and with about 100 or 110 psi, you will blow you will blow that orifice right out of there. Be sure it's pointed in a safe direction, because when it comes out of there, it's going to come out of there, and it will take a trip down memory lane. Be sure you got a new one, or you know where that thing goes when it comes out, or just put a rag over it. That'll work too. But anyway, that's an easy way to get it out. Anytime you guys pull those hoses off or connections, like on your accumulator back here or up against your evaporator, do yourself a favor and get one of these little kits. It comes with O-rings. I swear I've had this, I know it's been more than 10 years. And these O-rings are just as solid today as they were the day I bought them. I stretch on them and pull on them before I put them in, checking for cracks. They're still just as good as the day I bought them. It's a good set to have, and I have not found a system yet. I've not been on a system yet where I didn't have the correct O-ring whenever I got that. I'm not sure what that part number is, but it's a good little set. From your condenser, it does exactly what the name implies. It condenses your refrigerant into a liquid. It cools your refrigerant. It comes out as a liquid to the metering device or the orifice tube. It comes out of that orifice tube. It comes out there just as if you turned an aerosol can upside down and sprayed it like that keyboard cleaner. If you've ever done that and it comes out real cold, that's exactly what's happening right there. Same exact thing. Pressure drop, temperature drop. I think, I can't remember if it says Charles Boyle's Law, something like that. But anyway, that's what's happening right there. The difference with the refrigeration system, it contains that refrigerant and it continues to do it over and over and over again. Okay, now your refrigerant liquid vapor mixture goes up into your evaporator. I can't really see that line. It's up underneath the accumulator there. Goes into your evaporator. Your air blows across your evaporator. And what's happening to the refrigerant? It evaporates. That's why the evaporator is called evaporator. It turns it into a gas, or mostly a gas. It should turn it into a complete gas. But anyway, if it doesn't, that's why these were put on automotive air conditioners. This is a dryer, but it's also called an accumulator. If any liquid refrigerant gets in that, the liquid will fall to the bottom. The suction from your compressor will pull off the top, and your refrigerant in the bottom will boil off, so you just have a vapor coming back. It doesn't hurt to get a little bit of liquid. Whenever you charge, you have to charge with liquid, but typically that will evaporate or flash off before it gets to your compressor. Anytime liquid gets to your compressor, that's a bad thing. You can damage valves. Typically when I change a compressor, it's a good idea to change the accumulator. I didn't do it on this one. I just pulled it into a good vacuum, and I'm very happy with that. It doesn't bother me not to change it. Sometimes you have to do that though in order to keep your warranty up. This system, almost all systems have these. This is a pressure switch. What this does when you send power to this from your AC control system, this will cycle, or it will close when the pressure inside here is high enough to close a set of contacts in here. If you come up on a new vehicle and your compressor clutch is not engaging, if it's just sitting there, your AC's on, nothing's happening, you can pull this off and you'll see two terminals in there. The easiest way to check that is just jumper that. You can use a pair of needle nose pliers. Needle nose work just fine. Just be sure you're not touching any other metal. It's not going to shock you. Just go ahead and stick your needle nose on that with your AC on. Your compressor clutch should pull in. If it doesn't, there's another issue somewhere. What else? If you need to change this particular model, this pressure switch on the inside, there's a nipple inside of that. And there should be, I'm going to quote, there should be a valve core inside of this. If you need to change this and still have refrigerant on your system, you can do it. You need to start turning this off. You'll get a little bit of gas come out. Continue to turn it off. It should come out and that valve core should stick out and stop the flow of refrigerant. Then you can change your pressure switch and then plug back in your connector and you're good to go. Again, check for an O-ring on the end of that. Check for one up inside of here. But again, there should be a nipple on that. There's supposed to be. Check your new one, make sure it's also got that nipple inside of it to depress that valve core. And like I said, anytime you guys take any of this stuff apart, be sure and change those O-rings. Do yourself a favor and check up in here, and also check on the end of your pipe here. There could be one, or it could be left up inside here. That's it. That's all I wanted to tell you as far as the cycle. I've got my system set up. I've already pulled it into a vacuum. I'm happy with my readings. They've held. If you guys start using gauges like this, that's great. That's wonderful. If you're not setting on, you should be setting on 0 whenever you start, when there's no pressure on these gauges. If you're not, there's a calibration screw. You can take this front off and see that little screw right underneath there. You can turn that until you read 0. You can do it on both gauges so you can calibrate them. Anyway, both of them have it. This set of gauges is not a 134A set of gauges. That's why I have these adapters on here. These are 1/4 inch fittings. If you buy refrigerant, I'm gonna have to turn you upside down here. If you get a jug of refrigerant and it says auto on it like that, automotive, this down here will be a 1/2 inch fitting, and you'll have to have an adapter. I've got an adapter on mine there that goes from that 1/2 inch to your 1/4 inch fitting. If you have a set of refrigerant hoses that are specifically for automotive, they'll hook right to your jug. Just FYI, in case you're planning on doing that. On my system, I've got a scale hooked up. I'll go ahead and turn it on and see if I'm reading 0. Hopefully, if not, I'll have to 0 it. Give it a second. Yeah. Yep. Close enough, I think. Yep, we're reading 0 pounds, 0 ounces. We're good. This particular scale, as I start adding refrigerant, it will go negative, so I can see exactly how much I'm putting in. I've already turned my jug on. One thing I want to do before I start adding to it, I've probably got air in my hose. It's best normally to open this before you open your jug, which I did it already, but whoop, it's purged. All the air is now out of that. This is in a vacuum all the way back. You're still good. When you're in a vacuum, fellas, when you're in a vacuum, it's like outer space. There is nothing there. There's no oxygen, there's no nitrogen, there's no nothing. If there is water in your system, your water will boil at 28.9 inch vacuum or 29.8 inch vacuum. Water will boil at 40 degrees Fahrenheit. So any water that's in the system, it will boil out. It will become a vapor and you will pull it out. So once you get into a good vacuum, you have nothing in there. There's nothing. So we're going to be adding pure refrigerant. My system, as you can see, the original system says charge R12. The original system held 2.5 pounds. That's what I'm going to charge back in it, is 2.5 pounds. I've been told by others that you can charge 80% of that. You don't have to charge 2.5 pounds. You can only charge 80%. You only have to charge 80% when you go back. I've got an accumulator. I'm not worried about that. I wouldn't mind having just a little extra. If one of these days I get a leak and I'm on the road, that little bit of extra cooling would be nice. And my accumulator is going to prevent any liquid from coming back to my compressor. So I'm going to go ahead and charge 2.5 pounds. Before I installed the compressor, I added about 1 ounce of refrigerant oil. This oil is, I think it's 100 viscosity. Should have been a little bit more for that compressor, but it's okay. It's not going to hurt anything, but the fact is that I've got a leak detector in there, so if I got a leak, I can find it. About that, if you suspect you've put leak detector in here, if you've got a leak and you cannot find it, I was looking for one time, couldn't find it. These are bad about leaking right through here. One time I couldn't find it. I happened to hit my light up here and I could just see a line of that UV detector up here on the underside of the hood. I had a leak on the shaft seal. Again, if you need to get the shaft seal out, once you get the compressor clutch pulled, you can put pressure, about 110 PSI on the suction side. Typically you will blow, again, be sure it's pointed in a safe direction. you'll blow that shaft seal right out of it and you can replace it with a new seal. Be sure and use the insertion tool that comes, it may come with your seal. Be sure and do that, or you will damage the seal whenever you put it in. All right, without further ado, we'll go ahead and charge it. What I'm going to do first, I've got it in a vacuum. This particular system, if this fan clutch cycles within so many times, within 1 minute, it will lock your AC system out. You will have to disconnect your battery for at least 30 seconds and then plug it back up. It will reset that and you can run your compressor again. But like I say, if it cycles too many times within one minute, it will lock it out. So what I like to do whenever I'm charging, the first thing I do, I will put gas. I won't put it on the suction side. I'm not on the other side of my accumulator. I'm on the compressor side. I don't like to put pure liquid in here whenever I'm first charging without the system running, because I don't want a slug of refrigerant to hit that compressor. So I will put it on the discharge side. I'll go ahead and open my discharge valve. Come on, open up. And we got gas going in. You can see the suction side starting to climb too. Take a look and see how much we got. And I will let it go until that kind of balances out and says I can't hold anymore. Put that back down there so I doubt very much I get the full 2 pounds in there, but there's 1 pound. Pound 3 ounces, come on. I want to get as much in there as I can so that thing doesn't cycle too much and locks me out. I don't want to have to disconnect the battery again, and no big deal, but that's probably good for now. I'll go ahead and shut off my high side. My high side's closed. My low side's closed. All right, I'm ready to start it. This stuff's okay. I feel safe about that. I'm gonna move that. All right, we'll start it and turn the AC on. When I start it, I'll turn the AC on full blast, and I like to put it on recirculate. It doesn't have to be, but. Okay, we're high. Recirculate all the way on cold. Let's see what we're doing. Compressor's turning good. We're not. We're not cycling. I'm gonna go ahead and add gas until I get to my 2 pounds. I'm gonna crack my suction valve open. We're adding gas now. Getting closer. Almost there. Let me shut them off. What do we got? 2 pounds and a half ounce. That's close enough. If I did not have a scale, I wasn't sure how much gas I had. If my compressor was still cycling at this RPM, I would go ahead and throttle up until I'm at about cruising RPM. On this truck, I normally cruise at about 1500 or 1700 RPM. I would run it up to about that sounds about right, and add gas until my compressor stops cycling. And typically that is good. So if you're just adding with cans, that's the way to do it. Now that I've got it charged, I'm happy with that. I'll go in here and feel, make sure I've got cool air coming out. I should have nice cool air coming out. Yes, I wish I had a temperature gauge so you guys could feel that. It's about 105 out today, and that feels really good. So that's working great. While the system is still running, I want to go ahead and free my hoses and everything of refrigerant. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my jug and I'm going to turn it back over. Also, if you notice, I charge liquid. This is a blend 134A. You have to charge liquid. If you don't, you'll just get one primary refrigerant evaporating off the top, and you won't get the correct blend into your system, and it could affect your pressures. So with that shut off, I'm going to go ahead and shut off or unscrew this high side so it's not depressing that Schrader valve anymore. So I'm shut off to my system here, and I'm shut off to my jug there. Now I'm going to go ahead and open both sides. Open my high side and open my low side. Now, see my discharge falling? I'm sucking that pressure out of that line. I'm also sucking that liquid refrigerant out of that hose. I want to get that down until my gauges are equal. I've got about, I don't know, maybe 60 PSI there. Showing a little less than that on this side. Oh no, that's not 60, that's about 30. And I've got about 30 some there, so I'm happy with that. Now that I've got that, I can go ahead and shut off my gauges. I've got my hoses cleared. I can go ahead and open my jug. Hopefully I won't get, nope, just a little hiss, no liquid. That's nice. Sucks when you burn your fingers. That's ready to come off. That can be taken off. I can go ahead and shut the system down now. Before I do that, let's take a look at these gauges. If you guys ever wondered on a set of gauges, these inner numbers, this particular set of gauges does not have 134A, but I could look at a pressure temperature chart and see at, what is that, 25 to 30 PSI, what my temperature be at 30 PSI. Hopefully I'm just a little bit above freezing, about 35 degrees. On a residential system, if that, or commercial, if that pressure gets below the saturation temperature for 32 degrees, I could start freezing my coil. But anyway, that's what those inner numbers are for. It's basically a pressure temperature chart on your gauges, but this particular set does not have 134A. We'll go ahead and shut this off. Oh, that feels good. That feels a lot better than what it was doing. I may sit in here after I'm done with this video. Go ahead and turn that off. Shut that off. Come out here. Safety wise, I went ahead and did that. Of course, my pressures might come up a little bit, but they're still down there pretty good. I can go ahead and take my high side off, and I can go ahead and unscrew my low side and then pop it off. And we're good, and then I can replace my caps. But anyway, I hope this video, that's it. It's charged. I hope this video has helped you guys. Maybe see something that you didn't know about. I apologize if some of this stuff's kind of elementary. You may have already known. I didn't mean to insult anybody's intelligence, but hopefully you'll pick up something from the video that helps you. And if you have any questions, just write them down in the comments. I appreciate it, fellas. Thank you.